Charles Bronson was the most well-known person in Hollywood throughout the 1970s. While this legendary action hero is most known for his devil-may-care remarks and jaw-dropping exploits, his steely-eyed expression belied a shockingly violent past. Bronson was action's hardest star on and off screen, with sad origins and unsettling controversies. Charles Bronson personified the tangible grit and realism that defined the cinema business in the 1970s at the height of a lengthy career. In the Death Wish series and in international cinema markets, where Bronson's fame rose, his unusual appearance and harsh temperament made him the ideal foil for street criminals. Though for a long time he was more well-liked in Europe than in America, his scowling looks and growling voice were recognizable characteristics in post-war gangster movies, and the Magnificent Seven helped him become a true celebrity. Charles Bronson was the 11th of 15 children born in a low-income Lithuanian family in Pennsylvania. He was raised in hand-me-down gowns from his sister and boots that an older brother had to wear for a night shift in a coal mine. His head was shaved to prevent lice. By the middle of his adolescent years, he was also labouring in the shadows, taking pauses to travel as a hobo. It is understandable why Bronson was difficult. Sadly, they were not a contented family. Bronson didn't remember much of his early years, but he did recall that he always hid from his father when he got home. It was obviously a highly difficult circumstance for Bronson to grow up in a big, impoverished household and enter the profession as a young youngster. This environment has frequently been cited as the reason for one of Bronson's worst habits, smoking, which he began at the early age of 9. He continued doing that for the remainder of his life, which ultimately led to his passing. To say that Charles Bronson grew up in abject poverty is not an exaggeration. Before Michael Winner's contentious urban vigilante film Death Wish suddenly made the muscular actor one of cinema's top box-office draws in the United States, beating out the more stereotypically attractive heroes Paul Newman and Steve McQueen, he was in his mid-50s. Though Bronson resembled a combination between Freddy Krueger and Sid James, his passion and feeling of barely restrained aggression made him into a virtual legend. Bronson's characteristics were men of action rather than words. They were frequently tough, enigmatic, or hazily written. This was on purpose, especially as Bronson gained more influence over his career. Bronson was a quiet man who detested doing interviews and couldn't bear to see his own movies. "When I'm in public, I even attempt to hide," he once said. Bronson never extended a handshake throughout his life. People at the time characterized Bronson as haughty. In actuality, though, Bronson was terrified of germs and made several attempts to stay healthy. Even the possibility that Bronson had unrecognized OCD has been raised, although this is impossible to confirm. Click here to watch this video next.